Quiet on the floor, please. Quiet on the floor, please. Quiet on the floor, please. At this time, please place all electronic devices to vibrate. Mr. Majority Leader.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Stadium meeting of December 6, 2023. Majority Leader Keith Powers. I'd like to thank everyone for joining us here today. If you'd like to follow along, the agenda for today's meeting is posted on the City Council website.
Please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Roll call.
Abreu.
Present.
Ariola. Aviles.
Presente.
Ayala.
Here.
Barron.
Here.
Botcher.
Here.
Brannan.
Here.
Brewer.
Here.
Brooks Powers.
Here.
Caban.
Present.
Carr. De La Rosa.
Here.
Dinowitz.
Here.
Farias.
Present.
Felice.
Presente.
Gennaro.
Here.
Gutierrez.
Presente.
Ariola.
Present.
Hanif.
Here.
Hanks.
Present.
Holden.
Here.
Hudson.
Present.
Joseph.
Present.
Kagan.
Present.
Krishnan.
Here.
Lee. Lewis.
Present.
Marte.
Here.
Mealy. Menon.
Here.
Moya.
Here.
Narcisse.
Present.
Nurse.
Present.
Osei.
Present.
Palladino. Wrestler.
Here.
Richardson Jordan.
Present.
Riley.
Present.
Rivera.
Present.
Salamanca.
Present.
Sanchez.
Present.
Schulman.
Here.
Stevens.
Here.
Ung.
Present.
Velazquez. Vernikoff. Williams.
Here.
Juan.
Present.
Yeager.
Here.
Borelli. Powers.
Here.
Speaker Adams.
Present.
Thank you. We will now have today's invocation, which will be delivered by Rabbi Joel Mosbacher, Temple Sharei Tefillah on the Upper East Side, located at 250 East 79th Street in Manhattan. Welcome.
Holy One of Blessing, we call you by many names. Jews call you the one who created all of us in your image. May you inspire this council to carry out its deliberations and make its decisions with that oneness in mind. Ours is a city made up of many languages, races, ethnicities, genders, sexualities, and faiths. Ours is a city made up of people who were born here and of people who came here yesterday. Ours is a city made up of people who have everything they need and of people who have barely enough to survive. May this council remember and act with the awareness that when every one of us was created in the image of the divine. O God, you must have a huge heart because you have created us with huge hearts. Having just returned from Israel on a mission with our Reformed Jewish movement, I was reminded of just how big our hearts can be. We can have compassion for innocent Israelis and for innocent Palestinians at the same time. Our hearts are big, and we can have compassion for more than one thing, for more than one group of people at a time. As we approach Hanukkah, the Jewish festival of light, may this council ensure that while the hearts of New Yorkers are big, that there is no room in the heart of New York for the kind of anti-Semitism, the kind of Islamophobia we have seen in our city in recent weeks. The hearts of the people who serve this city in this body are big. God, please help them remember that. As they do their civic duty, help them have strong backs and open hearts, that they might make this city a beacon of justice, of compassion, and of safety for all. Amen.
Thank you. I'm now going to call on Councilmember Julie Menin to spread the invocation on the record.
Thank you so much, Majority Leader. I'm thrilled to be able to welcome as a distinguished rabbi from my district who has served our community for many years. Rabbi Joel Mosbacher is a senior rabbi of Tempa Sharei Tefillah here in Manhattan. Unfortunately, like so many of our houses of worship, in mid-August this summer, the temple was one of many in my district that was victimized by anti-Semitic vandalism. Yet the work of the temple continues and is embedded with Reformed Jewish values and with a real focus on social justice. The temple has worked nationwide on voter suppression efforts, civic engagement, fighting food insecurity, racial justice, and LGBTQ rights. As we approach the first night of Hanukkah later this week, I want to wish light in this world and a happy Hanukkah to all who are celebrating this festival of lights. Once again, I want to thank you, Rabbi, for joining us today, and I make a motion for unanimous consent to spread the invocation in full upon the record. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now have the adoption of the minutes from Councilmember Charles Barron.
I had informed the clerk that someone else has to adopt these minutes. I haven't seen them, and I'm sure I disagree with a large portion of them. So you have to find somebody else to adopt the minutes. Thank you.
I will make a motion that the minutes of the stated meetings of November 2nd, 2023 and November 15, 2023 be adopted as printed. We'll now go to messages and papers from the mayor.
None.
Communication from city, county, and borough offices.
Excuse me, M181, Comptroller's Report.
Received, ordered, printed, and filed.
Petitions and communications.
None.
Land use call-ups.
None.
Thank you. We'll now have communication from Speaker Adrian Adams.
Thank you, Majority Leader. Before we begin, I want to acknowledge the lives of New Yorkers we lost over these past few weeks, whether it was due to fires, traffic incidents, or other forms of violence. We must confront violence with real solutions that make our communities safer and allow those who experience tragedy to heal. Safety and access to services to support New Yorkers remains a priority for the Council, and it is imperative that action continues to be taken to achieve the progress and safety that New Yorkers deserve. November 30th was Barbados National Day, which celebrates the country's independence from Britain after over 360 years as a British colony. The Bajan community has contributed so much life and culture to New York City, and I wish Bajans across our city a wonderful day of celebration. We observed World AIDS Day on December 1st. This day is an opportunity for us to reaffirm our steadfast commitment to people living with HIV/AIDS and remember those we have lost to AIDS-related illnesses. Established in 1988, World AIDS Day serves as an important reminder about the importance of our united mission to eradicate HIV/AIDS. November 2nd was Special Education Day, which commemorates the signing of the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act into law in 1975. It is critical that we provide our most vulnerable students with the effective and sustained services they need to succeed. Nearly 5 decades after the passage of this crucial law, we remain focused and committed to supporting all students with disabilities. Additionally, December 3rd was International Day of Persons with Disabilities, a day to honor our disability community and advocate for further accessibility. Approximately 1 in 4 people in New York have a disability. To access our full potential as a society, it's imperative that we push for increased accessibility and prioritize inclusion so that people with disabilities can participate fully in our society and lead independent lives with dignity and respect. Tomorrow night marks the first night of Hanukkah. As Jewish families across New York City and around the world gather to celebrate, I want to extend my warmest wishes for peace and joy during this season. On behalf of the New York City Council, Chag Hanukkah Sameach. And on December 16th, we will observe the 52nd anniversary of Bangladesh Victory Day, which commemorates the independence of Bangladesh. I'm proud to represent a district in Queens that is home to a flourishing Bangladeshi community, and we are grateful for their contributions to our city. I hope everyone has a meaningful Bangladesh Victory Day. Before we continue, I want to acknowledge that Samara Swanston will be leaving the council after 16 years of service as counsel to the Committee on Environmental Protection. Samara, I want to thank you for your many years of dedicated public service, and we wish you the very best as you move on to your next chapter. Now let's move on to our stated agenda. First, we'll vote on the following finance items. A preconsidered resolution sponsored by Councilmember Justin Brannan authorizing a full 40-year Article 11 tax exemption for 1 new building in Councilmember Nurse's district. A preconsidered resolution sponsored by Councilmember Brannan authorizing a partial 40-year Article 5 tax exemption for 12 buildings in Councilmember Gutierrez's district. A preconsidered resolution sponsored by Councilmember Brannan authorizing a full 40-year Article 11 exemption for 2 buildings in Councilmember Abreu's district and Councilmember De La Rosa's districts. A preconsidered resolution sponsored by Councilmember Brannan authorizing a partial 40-year Article 5 exemption for 3 buildings in Councilmember Richardson Jordan's district. Next, we'll vote on the following land use items. Zoning for carbon neutrality. A citywide text amendment proposed by the Department of City Planning and the Mayor's Office of Climate and Environmental Justice to implement changes to the city's zoning resolution to expand opportunities for decarbonization and sustainability projects within all zoning districts and across all of the city's community districts. The proposal focuses on 17 initiatives to facilitate climate action, clean energy, and resiliency by removing barriers to greener and more efficient energy systems, buildings, transportation, and water and waste systems. Belmont Osborne rezoning will facilitate the development of 1 new 7-story mixed-use building. It will include approximately 100 affordable housing units, ground floor retail, and 10 accessory off-street parking spaces in Councilmember Mealy's district. The council will be modifying the proposal to strike MIH option 2 and add the deep affordability option and modify the rezoning area boundaries to include only the sites between Osborne and Watkins Street. 534 Coney Island Avenue rezoning will facilitate the development of a new 11-story mixed-use building. It will include approximately 43 housing units, including 11 affordable units and 19 accessory off-street parking spaces in Councilmember Joseph's district. The council is modifying the application to strike MIH option 2 and add the deep affordability option, resulting in MIH option 1 and deep affordability option as the applicable MIH options. We will also vote on the following resolutions. Resolution 813, sponsored by Councilmember Amanda Farias, would recognize April 13th annually as Borinqueniers Day in the City of New York in honor of the courage and wartime contributions of the U.S. Army 65th Infantry Regiment and their legacy. We thank our staff member, Regina Paul. Resolution 568, sponsored by Councilmember Natasha Williams, would designate May annually as National Pan-Hellenic Council Day in the City of New York to recognize the contributions made to social change by members of 9 Black sororities and fraternities known as the Divine Nine. Thank you again to our staff member, Regina Paul. Resolution 547, sponsored by Councilmember Carmen De La Rosa, would call on the School Construction Authority and the Department of Design and Construction to reconsider their decision to substitute precast concrete wall panels in place of traditional handset brick and block walls on public projects in New York City. Thank you to our staff member, Elizabeth Arts. Resolution 579, sponsored by Councilmember Eric Dinowitz, would call on the Department of Education to ensure that the New York State Seal of Biliteracy is awarded in all New York City public high schools to eligible students. Resolution 580, also sponsored by Councilmember Dinowitz, would call on CUNY to ensure that all campuses award an appropriate number of college credits to students who earned a New York State Seal of Biliteracy in high school and, where required, accept that seal as fulfillment of any foreign language requirement. Thank you once again to our staff member, Regina Paul. Resolution 742, sponsored by Councilmember Shauna Abreu, would call on the Department of Education to develop curriculum on machine learning and adapt their current curriculum and policies to account for the safe use of generative artificial intelligence. Resolution 767, sponsored by Councilmember Rita Joseph, calls on the Department of Education to mandate training on generative artificial intelligence tools, including for potential classroom implementation for all educators. Resolution 766, also sponsored by Councilmember Joseph, would call on the Department of Education to update its computer science for all initiatives to increase access to CS for all professional development for educators and administrators, particularly for those in underserved schools, and to increase training for all teachers. And Resolution 534, also sponsored by Councilmember Joseph, would call on the New York State Legislature to pass and the New York State Governor to sign A 3723, S 759, and A 816, S 879, which would extend the hours of use for student Metro cards in New York City and would prohibit MTA from promulgating rules or regulations that penalize a student for using a student Metro card when school is not in session. Thank you to our staff members, Chloe Rivera and Kevin Katowski. Resolution 345B, sponsored by Councilmember Pirina Sanchez, would call on the New York State Legislature to pass and the Governor to sign A 1493 and S 2721 in relation to establishing a New York State Office of Civil Representation to provide access to legal services in eviction proceedings. Thank you to our staff members Taylor Zeleny, Claire McLaughlin, Jose Conde, and Andrew Bourne. Resolution 499B, sponsored by Councilmember Shauna Abreu, would call on the New York State Legislature to pass and the Governor to sign A 4993, S 3254, requiring that any party eligible under local law for free legal counseling for an eviction proceeding may be granted an adjournment by the court for additional time to secure counsel. Thank you once again to our staff members Taylor Zeleny, Claire McLaughlin, Jose Conde, and Andrew Bourne. Resolution 165A, sponsored by Councilmember Farrell Lewis, would call on the state to enact legislation to authorize certain shelters for victims of domestic violence to be reimbursed for any payment differential for housing a single individual in a room intended for double occupancy. Thank you to our staff member, Christy Dwyer. Today, we will also vote on the following pieces of legislation. Introduction 1184A, sponsored by Councilmember Chio, say would require DCLA to provide additional details relating to zip code, community board, and council district in its annual report on the arts and cultural organizations that receive city funding. This report is submitted to the council and posted on the DCLA website. Thank you to our staff member, Christina Yalamati. Introduction 198, sponsored by Councilmember Rafael Salamanca, would mandate DOE to stock naloxone in all school buildings. Opioid-involved death rates have increased significantly since the beginning of the pandemic. According to the CDC, in 2019, nearly 1 in 7 students reported misusing prescription opioids. Extending the availability of naloxone to all DOE schools furthers existing efforts to address the opioid epidemic and save lives. Thank you to our staff members Malcolm Butehorn and Nadia Jean-Francois. Introduction 417B, sponsored by Councilmember Lincoln Ressler, would consolidate the community board notice requirement for bike lanes with the notice process in place for major transportation projects and would repeal the existing standalone process for bike lanes. This bill would also grant council members and community boards additional time during the summer to submit comments about a proposal or to add or remove a bike lane. Finally, the bill would eliminate a 14-day waiting period for major transportation projects. We thank our staff members Mark Chen, Connor Mealy, Kevin Katowski, John Basile, and Elliot Lynn. Next, Introduction 1101A, sponsored by Councilmember Amanda Farias, would require the Chief Equity Officer to create an interactive anti-racism training for employees of human services contractors. The training would be an annual requirement for all employees of human services contractors who deliver direct services to the public and their supervisors. Alternatively, a human services contractor would be able to develop and administer its own training as long as it meets the same legal standard. Introduction 1118A, sponsored by Councilmember Natasha Williams, would require the Department of Citywide Administrative Services, in consultation with the Office of Racial Equity and the Commission on Human Rights, to create an interactive anti-racism and anti-racial discrimination training for city agency employees. City employees, including independent contractors, interns, and volunteers, would be required to complete the training annually. Thank you to our staff members, Rachel Cordero, Jessica Boulay, and William Diori. Introduction 195B, sponsored by Councilmember Carlina Rivera, would provide a mechanism for occupants of multiple dwelling buildings to report potential housing maintenance code violations in unoccupied units. Currently, the Department of Housing Preservation and Development is not required to inspect unoccupied units and may not be able to obtain access to conduct an inspection. This bill would allow tenants to call 311 to have HPD inspect the unoccupied unit and issue violations for hazardous or immediately hazardous conditions. HPD would also publish these violations on its website. Thank you again to our staff members, Taylor Zaloni, Claire McLaughlin, Jose Conde, and Andrew Bourne. Next, we will vote on a package of legislation to address and curb noise pollution, a major issue that impacts the quality of life of residents across this city. Introduction 774A, sponsored by Majority Leader Keith Powers, would require DEP to measure sound levels within dwelling units on request when the sound is related to construction activities. DEP would be required to measure the sound level at any point within the unit with windows and doors that may affect the measurement closed. Introduction 775A, sponsored by Majority Leader Powers, would mandate DEP to publish the results of noise inspections online within 5 business days after they've been completed. Introduction 776A, sponsored by Majority Leader Powers, would require DEP and the NYPD to give a copy of the report created after a 311 noise complaint to anyone who requested and provide the 311 tracking number within 14 days after receiving the request. Introduction 770A, sponsored by Majority Leader Powers, would codify and expand DEP's noise camera program, which pairs decibel readers or other noise monitoring equipment with cameras capable of taking a series of photos, videos, or other recorded images to detect motor vehicles exceeding the noise limits under city law. Subject to appropriation, DEP would be required to ensure that there are no less than 5 noise cameras per borough and to consider input from elected officials and community boards in selecting noise camera locations. DEP would also be required to submit an annual report on the program to the mayor and the council and to post it online. And Introduction 1194A, sponsored by Councilmember Jim Gennaro, would cap the compensation a citizen complainant can receive from a noise complaint at $5 or $10, depending on whether DEP or the citizen complainant prosecutes the proceeding. For citizen complaint proceedings commenced prior to the effective date of the bill, the maximum penalty would be capped at $50. This would reduce the financial incentive for serial complainants to file multiple harassing complaints against businesses for the purpose of collecting the award money. Thank you to our staff members, Samara Swanston, Claire McLaughlin, Ricky Chawla, and Andrew Bourne. Finally, we will vote on a comprehensive menstrual equity package that expands access to menstrual products in city facilities. From reproductive and maternal health to expanding economic opportunities, this council has championed policies that ensure access to resources and support needed to succeed. Today's menstrual equity legislation furthers our commitment to that goal. Introduction 1059A, sponsored by Councilmember Amanda Farias, would expand the definition of menstrual products to include menstrual cups. This bill would also require DCAS to include them in the provision of menstrual products to agencies, temporary shelters, and youth detention or congregate care facilities and DOC to provide all people in custody who menstruate with access to reusable or single-use menstrual cups. Introduction 1057A, sponsored by Councilmember Farias, would require DOC to produce an annual report specifying the amount of menstrual products ordered by the department, disaggregated by product type, the amount of such product distributed to correctional facilities, and the number of products distributed to individuals in custody. Introduction 1058A, also sponsored by Councilmember Farias, would require DOE to develop, in collaboration with the Commission on Gender Equity, informational materials about menstrual products to be shared with every student in grades 4 through 12. This bill would also require DOE to submit to the mayor and the speaker and publish on its website an annual report regarding the distribution of such informational materials. Introduction 1056A, sponsored by Councilmember Carmen De La Rosa, would expand the age group of students to whom the Department of Education is mandated to provide menstrual products from beginning at grade 6 to beginning at grade 4. Despite the 2016 menstrual equity package, many girls still do not have access to menstrual products because many begin menstruation before the 6th grade. This bill, which I refer to as Sydney's Law, will rectify that issue. Sydney is a Southeast Queens school-aged child, 4th grader, who noticed this inconvenience, inequity in her own school, and I want to stand here and say, thank you, Sydney, for bringing this to my attention. Your law will be passed today. And Introduction 1055A, sponsored by Councilmember Tiffany Caban, would require all materials generated by the city to use the terminology menstrual product rather than the phrase feminine hygiene product when referring to products for use in connection with the menstrual cycle. This legislation would also require the Department of Education to report on the provision of menstrual products in schools to raise awareness about what is available to students, as well as to monitor the DOE's compliance with the law. We thank our staff member, Sahar Mozami. Thank you for your attention, and now I turn it back over to our Majority Leader.
Thank you, Speaker Adams. We're now going to move into the discussion of general orders. We currently have 10 individuals signed up. We are starting with Councilmember Gennaro, followed by Councilmember Aviles.
Thank you, Mr. Majority Leader. I want to thank you on your package of bills that are part of the noise package that we're doing today. The Speaker went through all the bills. I want to call people's attention to your bill, which is Intro 778 with regard to the noise cameras. That's going to be a real game changer. And with regard to my bill about the so-called civilian enforcement, this is something that's been poorly understood. It's been in the media a lot, but there have been people who have been abusing that process without going into like a long, long-winded talk about it. We have, through this, if this passes, we would make sure that the compensation for people who bring these kind of violations forward, they bring them to DEP, and if DEP acts on it, then they get a $5 bounty. They get a $5 bounty if DEP takes a pass, and they have to go to oath in order to prosecute the case. They would get a $10 bounty. This completely keeps in place the ability of local residents to do enforcement, so that doesn't go away. That stays. But what goes away is the profit incentive, and people who game the system and give 5, 10, 15 violations to the same business without them knowing. So business will still be held to account, both by the city enforcement and by civilians, but the profiteers will be out of business. So I think that's important. I want to thank the staff. This is kind of a poignant moment for me because I'm thanking for the last time in the council, the great Samara Swanson for all of her 16 years of service. Going to miss her very much. I was here when she was brought on. I actually had something to do with that, and she's been great for the council. And other people need to be thanked, but they've already been thanked, and we can't thank Samara enough. Thank you very much, Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you. Councilmember Aviles has deferred her time, so we're going to go to Councilmember Crystal Hudson, followed by Councilmember Caban.
Thank you so much. As this is the penultimate stated meeting before this session ends, I'd like to just take a moment to congratulate my colleagues on an already historic session. We've passed more than 230 bills, outpacing the last 2-year sessions in 2001 and 2003, including legislation to address the Black maternal mortality crisis, bolster the city FEPS program, expand child care access, enhance mental health supports, and protect LGBTQIA+ folks receiving gender-affirming care and birthing people seeking abortions in New York City from retaliation. Of the nearly 60 land use projects we've passed, almost 2/3 of all new housing we've approved will be affordable, including projects deeply affordable for our lowest income neighbors, like the 2 Atlantic Avenue projects in my district. And we've held crucial oversight hearings on everything from the city's contracting process for migrants to e-bike safety to better understand the issues facing our city and highlight the administration's shortcomings and negligence. In this job, it can be tough to take a step back and survey the work that we've done when we're busy juggling myriad issues and challenges. Suffice to say, we've all been pretty busy, and this work will undoubtedly improve the lives of nearly 8.5 million folks who call New York their home. I want to give a shout out to the Speaker and the entire Council team for their tireless work advancing a progressive agenda that centers the needs of historically marginalized communities. And I'd also like to quickly congratulate my colleagues, specifically Council members De La Rosa, Krishnan, Sanchez, and Public Advocate Williams, on the street vendor legislative package introduced today. Our city street vendors reflect the vibrant, diverse nature of our communities, but right now, vendors, many of whom are older adults, face an inadequate system that subjects them to unfair harassment and arrests. These bills will ensure all street vendors can thrive in our city by establishing a regulated, enforceable system. And for those who are older adults, these bills will ensure they can continue to build wealth and age in place in the city they now call home. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now hear from Councilmember Caban, followed by Councilmember Farias.
Thank you. I'm proud today to be passing Intro 1055 as part of this landmark menstrual equity package. 1055 will help our city be more responsive to the needs of students who menstruate and will rid our city's documents and materials of sexist and queerphobic euphemisms to describe menstrual cups, tampons, and pads in favor of clear, inclusive language. For the remainder of my time, I want to honor someone for whom this accomplishment is a capstone on 2 years of organizing, strategizing, visioning, scraping, scrounging, sometimes cajoling, sometimes accommodating, and always relentlessly nagging, resulting in a legislative record to be very proud of. I'm talking about my legislative director, Madhuri Shukla, who today is taking action with the ALE Council Staff Union, whose call for a fair contract I wholeheartedly support. After several years at the council, she will bring her formidable efforts to other endeavors at the end of this term. Today's passage is her 10th this session. That quantity would be impressive enough, but Madhuri's bills have been high quality as well, not to mention high impact. Check out her record. A first-of-its-kind fund for urgently accessible microgrants for survivors of domestic and gender-based violence, creation of an online portal and guide to all services for survivors of domestic and gender-based violence, a prohibition on the use of city resources to punish anyone involved in abortion care legally sought and or performed here, reporting on the gaps in reproductive care in New York City and recommendations on how to close them, removal of the utility deduction from housing vouchers to move New Yorkers from shelters into permanent housing more efficiently, which prevailed in the face of a mayoral veto, and most recently a commission to help the city improve life for queer elders. To top it all off, she's passed resolutions calling to cancel Puerto Rico's contract with Luma Energy, declaring New York City a safe city for all those in need of abortion-related care, and calling on Albany to pass a measure providing paid sick leave to domestic violence survivors and all their families. Congratulations on an incredible tenure in the council, Madhuri. Thank you so much for your service. I speak for the whole District 22 team when I say that we are sad to lose you, but excited to see what you do next. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'll hear from Councilmember Farias, followed by Councilmember Joseph.
Thank you, Majority Leader. In New York City and in this body, we are leading the way in menstrual equity with today's passage of 5 of the 10 bills in our menstrual equity package for the Women's Caucus. Menstruation is a natural and normal part of life for millions of people, yet for far too many, it is accompanied by challenges, inequalities, and feelings of shame and embarrassment. Access to pads, tampons, and menstrual cups is not a luxury, it is a necessity. As legislators in Florida, Idaho, and more across the nation continue to legislate against menstrual equity, New York City is sending a clear message: periods must not be turned into a political weapon. By censoring discussion about menstruation, refuting the need for freely accessible products, and dismissing this growing movement, you only reinforce stigma and shame and fail to meet people's basic needs. Today, with our supermajority on these bills, this body is showing legislators across the nation that menstrual equity is not the crusade of quote-unquote wokeism, as many are attempting to make it, but rather a medical and societal necessity that deserves expansion. In New York City, we will continue to reinforce our commitment to codifying protections that ensure menstrual equity for all New Yorkers. Lastly, I just want to say thank you to everyone for their work on this and to all my colleagues for their support.
Thank you. We'll now go to Councilmember Joseph, followed by Councilmember Barron.
Thank you, Majority Leader and Madam Speaker. Today, I urge my colleagues to approve the 534 Coney Island Avenue rezoning located in my district. This rezoning will facilitate the development of a 9-story mixed building with 40 units of housing, 11 which are affordable. I'm proud to have negotiated for deeper affordability for the proposed residential units and for the ground floor space retail or community facility that will benefit the community. While this proposal is just one portion of one block, it has become clear that Coney Island Avenue corridor needs comprehensive planning. The current zoning has not been updated for decades and fosters a landscape of self-storage, gas station, and fast food. We've seen individual rezoning, but we need a more comprehensive and community-led approach that facilitates affordable housing, street improvements, infrastructure investments, and economic development. This is my first land use application I've worked on since becoming a council member for the 40th District. I would like to thank Community Board 12, the Board President, the City Planning Commission, and my colleagues on the Zoning Subcommittee and in the Council. Thanks to everyone's thoughtful evaluation of this proposal, we were able to achieve a housing win for this community. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go to Councilmember Barron, followed by Councilmember Rivera.
My colleagues, I know how you like bike lanes, but when it comes to my beloved East New York, the disrespect of the Commissioner of Transportation, Adonis Rodriguez, and the mayor came into our community. The board said no, the elected officials said no. How are you going to put bike lanes on New Lots Avenue, a narrow street, buses, two-way narrow street, buses coming both ways, and you have a shared bike lane? And then right in our development, our housing developments, Boulevard houses and Linden houses, they eliminated 200 parking spaces.
Councilor, is this on today's agenda?
Excuse me?
Is this on today's agenda?
Yes, it is, the 417. Well, see, you like interrupting me every time.
Just want to
and then
know.
when
I just want to know where you take us on some adventures sometimes. I want to know where we're headed.
Is 417 on the agenda? Is it about bike lanes, shortening the process?
Go ahead.
Thank you. Could you change the clock or add a few minutes?
I was keeping track.
Okay. I think it was about 30, 40 seconds, so you got to add that on. As I was saying before I was rudely interrupted, the bike lanes are not working in East New York. You eliminated too many parking spaces. So for all of you who love riding bikes, you ride on, but East New York, we're still in cars. And we need to eliminate those bike lanes. And on a very serious note, it can cause accidents. We've had very near accidents because it's so ridiculously planned that the bike lanes are causing problems. We have our fair share of bike lanes, so we don't need to be oversaturated with bike lanes in the black community. For the white community that loves bike lanes, y'all can have ours. Take all the bike lanes, but when it comes to East New York, it's a major, major problem, and I want you to join me in getting them to undo the bike lanes in my beloved East New York community. Thank you so much.
And you still had time left. There you go. We'll now go to
As I was saying before,
like I said.
And furthermore, y'all get on my last nerve. On the record.
We'll now go to Councilmember Rivera, followed by Councilmember Salamanca.
I'm going to be brief. It's just because it's been a long afternoon. But today we're voting on Intro 195, my bill. I hope for support because this bill not only does it change the housing maintenance code in a way that requires HPD marshal resources toward the inspection of unoccupied units, but it also collects data that could help demonstrate patterns of warehousing and neglect. This bill will help address the symptoms of apartment warehousing and increase safety and security for residents. I think we all agree that New Yorkers deserve healthy homes, and this legislation further empowers HPD to guarantee that. So I want to thank all the advocates, attorneys, tenants, my staff, central staff, my partner here, Gail Brewer, and the End Warehousing Coalition for their work. Thank you.
Thank you. And now go to Councilmember Salamanca, followed by Councilmember Ressler.
Thank you, Mr. Majority Leader. Today we'll be voting on Intro 198. Today's a significant win for the South Bronx in New York City, a win over 6 years in the making. Intro 198 will require every school in New York City to carry naloxone kits. Inspired by a rise in teen drug deaths as well as an overdose from a teacher at a school in my district, passage of this bill now makes New York City the largest school district in the country to have such a preventive measure in place. And now, following years of inaction, excuses, and roadblocks, our city's communities that have been most negatively impacted by fentanyl use will finally receive some reprieve. With the passage of Intro 198, we are mandating the Department of Education to take preventive steps against fentanyl overdoses that occur near educational institutions by keeping naloxone kits in every single school in our city. Our communities have been ravaged by the effects of fentanyl introduction in our city. In my district, we have seen these consequences before our most innocent, our children. For far too long, Bronx children have been forced to tiptoe their way into their schools because needles laced with fentanyl are carelessly thrown on sidewalks and green spaces surrounding the school entrances. For far too long, Bronx parents have had to fear whether one of these needles will harm their children, forcing them to become yet another statistics of our war against the opioid crisis. Now, thanks to the passage of Intro 198, we are ensuring that preventive measures are in existence to protect our children and our teachers and our parents. Facts are undisputed, and the fact of this matter is that the increase in availability of naloxone kits in our city schools as a result of the passage of Intro 198 will help save lives. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now hear from Councilmember Ressler, followed by Councilmember Osei.
Thank you, Majority Leader. And I want to especially thank the Speaker and Majority Whip, Chair Brooks Powers, for their leadership and support in bringing Intro 417B to the floor today. This has been a particularly deadly year for cyclists in the city of New York. In fact, 26 people are dead, and we're on pace for the deadliest year for cyclists in decades. 94% of those cyclists who have died riding outside without a protected bike lane. We know what saves lives. We need a network of truly protected bike lanes to ensure that people can get around our city safely. 550,000 cycling rides happen every single day in New York City. But there would be so many more if cycling was safer. With Intro 417B, streamlining the process to install bike lanes around the city of New York, we will get potentially on track to achieve the goals of the Streets Master Plan, which requires us to build 250 miles of bike lanes by the end of 2025. We've only done 35 miles so far, so we've got a long ways to go. But with the passage of this bill, we've got a shot of getting it done and making it safer for cyclists all across the city. So I hope you'll consider supporting this bill today. Really want to thank everybody who's worked on it to help make it possible. Committee Counsel Mark Chen, Faiz Ali from the Speaker's team for their help and leadership, and especially my Chief of Staff, Molly Haley, and all of the advocates who have pushed on this bill, from Streets PAC to Transalt to League of Conservation Voters, Open Plans New York, and many others. Appreciate all your support.
Thank you. We'll hear from Councilmember Osei, followed by Councilmember De La Rosa.
Thank you, Majority Leader. I'm so excited to be voting on Intro 1184A today. I have proudly served my first term as chair of the Committee on Cultural Affairs, Libraries, and International Intergroup Relations, standing as the cultural community's advocate and champion. For years, the cultural community has sought this legislation, which will provide much-needed transparency into the process of distributing the cultural development funds. I extend a special thanks to Culture at 3 for their advocacy and help in perfecting the bill. Tax dollars belong to all of us. The cultural organizations that represent all of us should each have a fair shot at getting them. We know there are too often demographic disparities in who receives CDF funding, and with Intro 1184A, we will be able to determine specific problems and uproot them. New York's diversity is to thank for our undisputed role as cultural capital of the world. Today, we deliver for all New Yorkers. I want to thank Madam Speaker, as well as all of the committee staff who worked on this. And also, as the year draws to a close, I also want to take this opportunity to thank my staff for everything they've contributed to my office and our constituents. My Chief of Staff, Naomi Hopkins, my Legislative Director, May Vucherpong-Vatana, my Communications Director, Elijah Fox, my Director of Strategic and Community Partnerships, Arlene Gillen, my Scheduler and Office Manager, Christina Serrano, my Constituent Services Liaison, Tashika Gordon, my photographer, Jordan Macy, and my videographer, Evan Reed. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We'll now hear from Councilmember De La Rosa, followed by Councilmember Williams.
Thank you. At today's date, we are voting to pass Intro 1056A, which our speaker has appropriately named Sydney's Law, which would expand the schools in which the Department of Education is required to provide menstrual products to include schools serving students in any combination of grades 4 through 12. Many people with periods can attest to their first experience in getting their period, possibly having difficulty knowing who to turn to for help or knowing what to do in this situation. The experience often comes with shame and confusion. But we are working to educate New York City about menstrual products. We simultaneously seek to expand access to those who are left on the margins, like our youngest school children. This legislation is one piece of a larger package that we will vote on today, and it will expand access to menstrual products for correctional facilities to a larger set and to a larger set of students in our school system. I am proud to stand alongside this women-led majority city council, and as a mother of a public school child, I am proud of the package that we are passing today. I also want to take the opportunity to thank Speaker Adams for her leadership, our chairs of the Women's Caucus, as well as our chair for the Committee of Women and Gender Equity. Thank you.
Thank you. And finally, we'll hear from Councilmember Williams.
Thank you so much, Majority Leader. I am looking forward to the swift passing of Intro 1118A and Reso 568. 1118A requires DCAS in consultation with the Office of Racial Equity and the Commission on Human Rights to create an anti-racism and anti-racial discrimination training for city agency employees, including agency interns, independent contractors, and volunteers. This is critical in dismantling the long-standing systems of oppression that perpetuate discrimination and racial inequity. And one of the best tools we have at our disposal is education. I am proud that both my bill and Councilmember Fadia's bill, which are a part of the Juneteenth package, will be passing today. Both bills are aimed at educating and training the city's workforce in the human service sector. These bills will aid in our ongoing work toward creating a safer and more equitable environment for all New Yorkers. Lastly, I'm thrilled to recognize the National Panhellenic Council by designating May 10th as NPHC Day. As a member of one of the Divine Nine organizations, we are more than an affiliation. It's a profound connection to a legacy of excellence, unity, and service. This day celebrates the rich tapestry of experiences and impactful contributions woven by members like myself, Speaker Adams, Councilmember Fadias, and Majority Whip Selvena Brooks-Powers, as well as Councilmember Kevin Riley, into the fabric of our community. As always, I'd like to thank committee staff and bill drafters, Jessica, William, and Regina, and my staff for their work leading up to this vote, and the Speaker for her leadership, and to all my colleagues for your support. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other members signed up to speak? Seeing none, we'll move into the report of special committees.
None.
Report of standing committees.
Report of the Committee on Civil and Human Rights, Intros 1101A and 1118A, Anti-Racism Training.
Amended and coupled on general orders.
Report of the Committee on Cultural Affairs, Libraries, and International Intergroup Relations, Intro 1184A, DCLA Annual Reporting.
Amended and coupled on general orders.
Report of the Committee on Education, Intro 198A, opioid antagonists in school buildings.
Amended and coupled on general orders.
Report of the Committee on Environmental Protection, Resiliency, and Waterfronts, intros 774A through 1194A on page 3, noise complaints, inspections, and violations.
Amended and coupled on general orders.
Report of the Committee on Finance, preconsidered LU 288 and Reso 854 through preconsidered LU 291 and Reso 857, tax exemption.
Coupled on general orders.
Report of the Committee on Housing and Buildings, intro 195B, unoccupied dwelling units.
Amended and coupled on general orders.
Report of the Committee on Land Use, LU 277 through LU 285 on page 5, zoning amendments.
Approved with modifications and referred to the City Planning Commission pursuant to Section 197 of the New York City Charter.
Report of the Committee on Transportation and Infrastructure, intro 417B, notice requirements for transportation projects.
Amended and coupled on general orders.
Report of the Committee on Women and Gender Equity, intros 1055A through 1059A, menstrual equity package.
Amended and coupled on general orders.
General orders calendar, LU 277 and Reso 858, City of Yes for carbon neutrality.
Coupled on general orders.
LU 278 and Reso 859 and LU 279 and Reso 860, Belmont Osborne rezoning.
Coupled on general orders.
LU 281 and Reso 861 and LU 285 and Reso 862, 534 Coney Island Avenue.
Coupled on general orders.
Resolution appointing various persons, Commissioner of Deeds.
Coupled on general orders, I now ask that the clerk take a roll call vote on all of the items coupled on today's general orders calendar.
Schulman.
Aye on all.
Marte. Rivera.
I vote aye.
Thank you. Abreu.
Aye.
Ariola.
Aye on all, with the exception of Land Use Item 277 and accompanying Resolution 858, as well as intros 417B, 195B, 1101A, 118A, and intro 1055A. Thank you.
Aviles.
Permission to explain my vote?
Go ahead.
Aye on all, with the exception of 1194A and 778A. While I'm voting yes today on carbon neutrality, I want to express my deep disappointment that the concerns of our environmental justice community were not taken seriously during the conversations in this text amendment. Among the concerns expressed by advocates and community members are the lack of attention paid to last mile facilities and their detrimental effect on any carbon neutrality goals, as well as how unintended technologies such as carbon capture will be swept up in overly broad definitions that are intended to only allow for the expansion of solar technologies across our city. While DCP's response was that these concerns were not within scope, what I'd like to hear from them instead is how can we address these very real concerns that pose an existential threat to our communities and still be within scope. I look forward to such a conversational approach as we explore the upcoming text amendment, Zoning for Economic Opportunity. And in terms of Intro 1194, I'm voting no because I'm concerned about the impacts that changes will have on our neighborhoods and implications that it may have for areas where we have citizen enforcement, especially as it relates to idling in the community. At times where DEP lacks the capacity for fully enforcing existing environmental laws, and when we would like the NYPD to have fewer civilian encounters, making sure our communities are livable with regard to environmental concerns is at least in part left to our communities. While I agree that no individual should be excessively profiting off of civilian complaints or using the complaint portal as a tool to harass businesses, we shouldn't disincentivize the submission of complaints, which could improve our communities, but rather we should be targeting the specific type of behavior we wish to see curbed. Thank you very much.
Ayala.
I vote aye.
Barron.
I vote no on 417B I believe that the very intent of safety is compromised by the incompetent way that they are doing the bike lanes. It'll create more problems, so I vote no on that. I also vote no on 1194A for the reasons my colleague mentioned, Councilmember Alexis Aguela. I served as, believe in the same position that she has on that. I also am voting no on LU 284 with Reso 861 and LU 285 Reso 862. I want to be consistent in voting for housing projects that are 60% affordable and more. And I vote abstain from LU 277 Reso 858. I want to know more about this entire city of yes. Could be a city of no unless we examine the whole plan and not piecemeal it. So I just want to see the whole plan with the carbon neutrality included in it and not piecemeal it, and we wind up voting for something piece by piece instead of with the whole city of yes plan is going to mean for affordable housing and the environment. So I abstain from that. Aye on all the rest.
Thank you. Botcher.
Aye on all with the exception of intro 1194A.
Brannan.
Aye.
Brewer.
I vote aye. I do want to, along with Councilmember Rivera, say the good thing about 195B, which on this vacancy for warehouse apartments. Just to give you an example, how many are vacant? IBO said 13,000 over the last 2 years that are rent stabilized, and the 2021 New York City Housing and Vacancy Survey said of the stabilized, almost 43,000. We don't have the data. And so we need to get that. This bill will help do that, and obviously it will also help making sure that those who live next door to a vacant apartment are not dealing with leaks and pests and rubbish and all the other things that come when you have a vacant, because between the courts and HPD, that apartment should be inspected and dealt with as it should be in terms of making it safe. So I vote aye on all. We cannot get rid of vacancies in the city of New York. That has to be done by the state. But this is a good beginning. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Brooks Powers.
Aye on all.
Kaban.
Aye.
Carr.
I'll be voting no on LU 277 with accompanying resolution 858, as well as introductions 195B, 417B, 1055A, 1101A, and 1118A. And aye on the rest. Thank you.
Thank you. One moment. De La Rosa.
Aye on all.
Dinowitz.
Aye on all except for 17B.
Farias.
I vote aye on all.
Feliz.
Permission to explain my vote.
Go ahead.
I vote aye on all, and I want to congratulate all colleagues that are passing bills today. I also want to reiterate some of the concerns that were mentioned earlier about 417B, and not even the bill, but just the Department of Transportation. I've been in office for 3 years, working very closely with every single agency in the city of New York, and I'm concerned about the Department of Transportation, a department that has shown time and time again that they have very little, if no interest, in actually listening to communities.
Yep.
This is a city of people, not a city of bureaucrats. This is a city of people, a city of communities, and it is important that every agency listen to community feedback. This is what they're there for. And when I say listening, I mean real listening, not meeting and not scheduling a meeting to smile and pretend like you're listening, but truly listening to the real concerns of our community. So I vote aye on all. It is a great bill, but I hope that the agency in charge of enforcing this bill or working this bill can do a better job at listening to communities. Thank you.
Thank you. Gennaro.
Aye.
Gutierrez.
Aye.
Hanif.
Aye.
Hanks.
Permission to explain my vote?
Go ahead.
I vote aye on all with the exception of intro 417B, in which I'm a no. And I would like everyone to join me in wishing our illustrious speaker an early happy birthday, Sag. You didn't think you were going to get away with that one. Thank you.
Thank you. Holden.
Aye on all except LU 277 and Reso 858 and intros 417B and 195B. Aye on the rest.
Thank you. Thank you. Hudson.
Aye on all with the exception of intro 1194A, for which I abstain.
Thank you. Joseph.
Aye.
Kagan.
I vote no on Land Use 277 and accompanied resolution 858. I'm voting no on Intro 417B, basically more bike lanes with no questions asked by anybody, and also against Intros 195B, 1101A, and 1118A. And I vote yes on everything else.
Thank you. Krishnan.
Aye on all.
Lee. Lewis.
Permission to explain my vote?
Go ahead.
Thank you. I want to thank all bill sponsors as well as Councilmember Caban and Christy Dreyer for their help with Reso 165A, a bill that reforms policies that would modify funding strategies and offer DV survivors a safe and suitable and accessible shelter regardless of family size. So I want to thank you all for your support on that, and I vote aye on all except for Intro 417A.
Mealy. Menon.
Aye on all.
Moya.
I vote aye.
Thank you. Narcisse.
Permission to explain my vote?
Go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, Majority. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Today, as we consider the City of Yes Carbon Neutrality Initiative, I stand in solidarity with the urgent needs to address the climate crisis affecting all our communities. The goal outlined is a great one, but however, I must voice a critical concern that echoes for our community boards and many residents, the financial implication. That's what I want to talk about. Therefore, as I cast my vote, I urge a commitment to working closely with the administration. Our focus should be on securing funding, carefully managing the implementation of these initiatives, and most importantly, maintaining active and meaningful engagement with our communities throughout this process. Let us ensure a future that is not only environmental sound, but also equitable and inclusive for all our residents. While I say that for 417, as our community board recommended, is not suitable for the time right now, but I will work closely again to making sure that whatever we do in our community, everyone is engaged. So on that note, I will say no to that, and I'm looking forward to work to make sure that our children are including in cycling, and they make access for bike lane, bicycles for our children, and implement them in schools as well, making sure they have helmet and the bikes, because most of my communities right now, the children cannot afford those bikes, and they cannot afford helmets. So that's what I'm saying. So thank you so much for your time, and I will say thank you to for my CM, De La Rosa, 547. I know a lot of folks calling me, they're losing their jobs, so thank you on that. So on that note, I will vote aye on all the rest, and happy, happy early birthday for Madam Speaker. Thank you so much.
Happy birthday.
Councilmember Narcisse, my apologies. Could you clarify your vote for me, please? My apologies.
Clarify the vote?
Yes.
I say aye on all except 417B.
Okay, thank you. Sorry. Thank you. My apologies. Thank you.
I like your lip shade. Is it a gloss?
Nurse.
Like a rose, right?
I vote aye on all, and congratulations to Councilmember Manufacturas for this amazing package for menstruation equity. Congratulations.
Osei.
I vote aye on all.
Palladino.
Sorry. I vote no on LU 2777 with Reso 858. I vote no on intros 417B, 195B, 1101A, 1118A, and 1055A. Thank you. And aye on all the rest.
Thank you. Wrestler.
Aye.
Richardson Jordan.
Aye on all.
Riley.
Aye.
Salamanca.
Permission to explain my vote?
Go ahead.
Thank you. As a former district manager of a community board, I've experienced firsthand the disrespect DOT has shown my community throughout the years, with a group of individuals who are not from our communities making changes as they see fit. Removing checks and balances would just further their behavior and empower the Department of Transportation. That is for I will be voting no on intro 417B and aye on all.
Sanchez.
Permission to explain my vote?
Go ahead.
Thank you. I just want to join in Councilmember Aviles' concerns with respect to the City of Yes for carbon neutrality and the reality that the many concerns of the environmental justice community and advocacy organizations were not addressed, and hope that in the future conversations, discussions, and policy changes around the city's decarbonization and climate mobilization policies, we are able to account for their concerns. With that, I vote aye on all.
Thank you. Stevens.
I vote aye on all, and I would like to be associated with the remarks of Councilmember Oswald Feliz of making sure that agencies are listening to communities and taking their actual feedback into consideration. And DOT is a habitual agency that does not listen to the requests and demands of communities. So thank you.
Ung.
I vote aye on all except for intro 417B, which I vote no. Thank you.
Vernikov.
Aye on all except no on land use item 277, no on intros 417B, 195B, 1101A, 1118A, Rezos 345 and accompanying resolutions 345 and 499, and a no on 1055A. Thank you.
Thank you. One moment. Williams.
I vote aye now.
Juan.
Aye no.
Jaeger.
Aye on all with the exception of LU 277, Resolution 858, Introductions 417, 1101, 195, and 1118. Mr. President, may I be excused to briefly explain my vote?
Go ahead.
Thank you. Just very quickly on 417, I'm not going to echo what the good colleagues here have mentioned earlier. And you see that it's from across the spectrum. People who represent the regular neighborhoods of New York know what it means to have to deal with DOT. They get to do anything they want anyway. And what this bill does is it repeals a law by a very wise gentleman who once walked these halls, former Councilman Lou Fidler. And when he did this law, the idea was to give communities an opportunity not just to opine and on their own destiny and what their neighborhoods ought to look like, but to have an opportunity to work with the other side of the building in charting that course and charting that destiny. And what this bill does, no matter how it's framed, is it takes that away. It takes it away from the communities. It ought to be the case that communities can decide what their neighborhoods should look like. After all, communities are the ones that pay for their neighborhoods. They pay the taxes on it. And outsourcing the decision of what a neighborhood ought to look like by a bunch of bureaucrats who have never even set foot in the neighborhood in most cases is incredibly, I think, short-sighted. I'd also just point out, as I've pointed out many times on this floor, that God bless you if you want to get a stop sign, if you want to get a traffic signal, if you want to get a speed hump, if you want to get anything out of DOT in less than 3 years, 4 years, 5 years before they tell you, we just studied it 5 years after you asked for it, and no. In my first several years in office, I was still getting responses back from things that my predecessor had asked for. So the idea that we want to give more power to DOT to do whatever they want to our neighborhoods, I just think is short-sighted. I think that we will hear from our neighbors when they see the ramifications and repercussions of what it is that we've done here today, but at least I'll be able to tell them that I was a no vote. Thank you very much.
Borelli.
Permission to explain.
Go ahead.
At the risk of sounding like a parrot, I also want to speak on 417B. The one thing that unites so many of us, and I've gotten to speak to just about every one of you on a host of different issues, the one thing that unites us all and brings us all together is our anger and frustration with one agency, oftentimes above all, and it's DOT. And whether it's bike lanes, speed bumps, stop signs, traffic lanes, pedestrian ramps, whatever it is, I know that most of you have gone to them and said, I represent this community, things should be this way, and instead they're that way. And the answer has been no. The law we're repealing was passed by this council in order to give voice to the communities, to the community boards, to people who live there. And now we're voting to repeal that. And that's wrong. But to vote to voluntarily give our own power over to DOT, to have meaningful weight on decisions that affect our community is rather, I think, the bigger problem than simply just bypassing some community boards, et cetera. So with that, I will vote aye on all except Land Use 277 and Reso 855, Intros 417B, 195B, 1101A, and 1118A. Thank you.
Thank you. Powers.
I vote aye.
Speaker Adams.
I vote aye.
All items on today's general order calendar are adopted by a vote of 47 in the affirmative, 0 negative, 0 abstentions, with the exception of land use items 284, 285, and accompanying resolutions adopted by a vote of 46 in the affirmative, 1 negative, 0 abstentions. Land use 277 and resolution 858 adopted by a vote of 38 in the affirmative, 8 negative, and 1 abstention. Introduction 417B adopted by a vote of 32 in the affirmative, 15 negative, and 0 abstentions. Introduction 195B adopted by a vote of 39 in the affirmative, 8 negative, and 0 abstentions. Introduction 1101A adopted by a vote of 40 in the affirmative, 7 negative, and 0 abstentions. Introduction 1118A adopted by a vote of 40 in the affirmative, 7 negative, and 0 abstentions. Introduction 1055A adopted by a vote of 42 in the affirmative, 5 negative, and 0 abstentions. Introduction 1194A adopted by a vote of 43 in the affirmative, 3 negative, and 1 abstention. And introduction 778A adopted by a vote of 46 in the affirmative, 1 negative, and 0 abstentions. And I want to give a shout out to Billy Martin for keeping track of all of that. We will now move into the introduction and reading of bills.
All bills have been referred to committees as indicated on today's agenda.
Thank you. We're now going to move into the discussion of resolutions. We first will hear from Councilmember Dinowitz, followed by Councilmember De La Rosa.
Yes. Good afternoon. I am excited that we're voting on 2 resolutions today. Resolution 580, calling on the City University of New York to ensure that all campuses award an appropriate number of college credits to students who earn a New York State seal of biliteracy in high school, and where required, accept that seal as fulfillment of any foreign language requirement and its companion. Resolution 579, calling on the DOE to ensure that the seal of biliteracy is awarded in all New York City public high school eligible students. This seal offers students the opportunity to demonstrate their biliteracy in English and any other world language without the confines of a single high-stakes exam. But I am excited not just because I introduced these resolutions, but because we have 2 very special guests here today. 2 Hunter College students I had the honor of working with last semester, Ariana Pavlidis Sanchez and Isabella Grillon, who are in the back here today. If we can give them a round of applause, because it's through their research and advocacy that these resolutions are passing. Our bilingual students, our diverse body of bilingual students, deserve to have their skills and their hard work recognized, and these resolutions will help do that. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now hear from Councilmember De La Rosa, followed by Councilmember Sanchez.
Thank you. We are voting to pass Resolution 547, calling upon the New York City School Construction Authority and the New York City Department of Design and Construction to reconsider their decision to substitute precast concrete wall panels in place of traditional handset brick and block walls in public projects in New York City. The use of precast concrete wall panels undercuts city industry, harms the environment, harms our health, and increases the cost of city projects. I'm proud to have worked alongside the Bricklayers and Allied Craft Workers Local Union Number 1, the Mason Tenders District Council, and the New York State Concrete Masonry Association to address the harms within our city's construction projects, and I ask our colleagues to vote in favor of this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. I just want to announce one revision to that tally from earlier. Introduction 1055A adopted by a vote of 43 in the affirmative, 4 negative, 0 abstentions. We'll now hear from Councilmember Sanchez.
Thank you, Majority Leader. The right to counsel not only enables tenants to fight frivolous evictions, but it ensures that tenants are better able to navigate systems and access stabilization programs like housing vouchers, which we here at the Council have worked to expand. These programs that help them to stabilize themselves in their homes with their families for the long term. That is why I am hopeful that my colleagues will join in supporting Reso 345 today, which calls on the state legislature to pass and the governor to sign legislation that would expand the right to counsel across municipalities in the state, municipalities in the state, and would require adjournments until a tenant has been able to secure an attorney, which would then help address the burden on legal service providers that could be beyond capacity. Thank you, Majority Leader.
Thank you. Do we have anyone else signed up for resolutions? Seeing none, we are going to have a voice vote on today's resolutions. If you wish to vote against or abstain from any of the resolutions, please notify the legislative documents units by email or by approaching the dais. I'll now read today's resolutions into the record. Resolution 165A calls on the New York State Legislature to pass and the governor to sign Assembly Bill 2583 and Senate Bill 15, authorizing certain shelters for victims of domestic violence to be reimbursed for any payment differential for housing a single individual in a room intended for double occupancy. Will all those in favor please say aye? All opposed say nay. Any abstentions? The ayes have it. Resolution 345B calls on New York State Legislature to pass and the governor to sign Assembly Bill 1493 and Senate Bill 2721 in relation to establishing New York State Office of Civil Representation to provide access to legal services in eviction proceedings. Will all those in favor please say aye? All opposed say nay. Any abstentions? The ayes have it. Resolution 499B calls on New York State Legislature to pass and the governor to sign Assembly Bill 4993 and Senate Bill 3254, requiring that any party eligible under local law for free legal counsel for an eviction proceeding may be granted an adjournment by the court for additional time to secure counsel services, to secure counsel access to legal services in eviction proceedings. Will all those in favor please say aye? All opposed say nay. Any abstentions? The ayes have it. Resolution 534A calls on the New York State Legislature to pass and the governor to sign Assembly Bills 3723 and 816 and Senate Bills 759 and 879, which would extend the hours of use for student Metro cards in New York City and prohibit the Metropolitan Transportation Authority from creating rules or regulations that penalize a student for using a student Metro card when school is not in session. Will all those in favor please say aye? All opposed say nay. Any abstentions? The ayes have it. Resolution 547 calls on the New York City School Construction Authority and New York City Department of Design and Construction to reconsider their decision to substitute precast concrete wall panels in place of traditional handset brick and block walls in public projects in New York City. Will all those in favor please say aye? Will all opposed say nay? Any abstention? The ayes have it. Resolution 568 designates May 10th annually as National Panhellenic Council Day in the City of New York to recognize the contributions made to social change by members of 9 black sororities and fraternities known as the Divine Nine. Will all those in favor please say aye? All opposed say nay. Any abstentions? The ayes have it. Resolution 579 calls on the New York City Department of Education to ensure that the New York State Seal of Biliteracy is awarded in all New York City public high schools to eligible students. Will all those in favor please say aye? All opposed say nay. Any abstentions? The ayes have it. Resolution 580 calls on the City University of New York to ensure that all campuses award an appropriate number of college credits to students who earned a New York State Seal of Biliteracy in high school, which where required, and accept that seal as fulfillment of any foreign language requirement. Will all those in favor please say aye? All opposed say nay. Any abstentions? The ayes have it. Resolution 7542 calls on the New York City Department of Education to develop curriculum on machine learning and adapt their current curriculum and policies to account for the safe use of generative AI. Will all those in favor please say aye? All opposed say nay. Any abstentions? The ayes have it. Resolution 766 calls on the New York City Department of Education to update its Computer Science for All initiative to increase access to professional development for educators and administrators, particularly for those in underserved schools, and to increase training for all teachers. Will all those in favor please say aye? All opposed? Any abstentions? The ayes have it. Resolution 767 calls on New York City Department of Education to mandate training on generative artificial intelligence, including for potential classroom implementation and for all educators. Will all those in favor please say aye? All opposed say nay. Any abstentions? The ayes have it. Resolution 813 recognizes April 13th annually as Boricua New Year's Day in the City of New York, in honor of the courage and wartime contributions of the U.S. Army 65th Infantry Regiment and their lasting legacy. Will all those in favor please say aye? All opposed say nay. Any abstentions? The ayes have it. That concludes the resolutions for today. Congratulations. We'll now move into general discussion. We'll first hear from Councilmember Vernikov.
Nobody's here to listen. Thank you, Chair Powers.
Quiet in the chamber, please.
Thank you, Chair Powers. Today, Councilmember Holden and I are introducing Intro 1273, which would create a public database to track the expenditure of funds in connection with government spending on the migrant crisis. Just over a decade ago, Hurricane Sandy's devastation in New York City area led to the creation of Sandy Funding Tracker, which tracked the spending on the considerable relief efforts related to the hurricane. Some of this money is still being spent today. Unfortunately, the migrant crisis is largely induced by the failures of the federal government to implement and enforce
Please
our
keep it
country's
down.
laws, and worsened by their adamant refusal to send aid to New York City. While no level of government is exempt from their share of blame for this crisis, there is no doubt it has hit our city especially hard. Every dollar we spend to deal with the migrant crisis is a dollar we take away from important services intended for New Yorkers. Taxpayers deserve transparency. With an estimated $12 billion price tag, which continues to increase, we must account and justify every dollar, where it's coming from, what it's for, and exactly how it is being spent. This is a matter of profound public interest, and we must come together to bring more transparency to our constituents. I'd like to thank Speaker Adams, Yasmin Nichols, Elliott Lynn, and the Legislative Division for their work in drafting this legislation. Councilmember Holding for joining me in this effort, our legislative staff, Troy Olson and Danielle Kurgina, and I hope to see every councilmember sign on. Thank you in advance.
Thank you. We're now here from Councilmember Lewis, followed by Councilmember Brooks Powers.
Thank you, Majority Leader and Speaker Adams, for the opportunity to briefly discuss three pieces of legislation I am introducing alongside Councilmembers Riley, Osei, and Narcisse. The first, Resol 849, a resolution designating December 4th annually as Jay-Z Day in New York City and celebrating his legendary status as a masterful MC, lyricist, and innovative entrepreneur. The global phenomenon that is Jay-Z, born Sean Carter, is widely known as an artist, mogul, husband and father, wealth builder, and supporter of economic and development and community causes. Both his career and success have spanned decades. The accolades for Mr. Carter is filling museums, magazines, and libraries. TV shows and radio programs clamor to provide content dedicated to his masterful work that has inspired many. December 4th, as Jay-Z Day, announces to the world how this Brooklyn son can be all things included, loved by his community. In the spirit of celebrating hip-hop's 50th anniversary, establishing an annual celebration to recognize a homegrown hero while proclaiming our municipal support is fitting to designate. Our resolution is an emotional, practical banner raised. Jay-Z has shown the resilience to beat the odds, self-admitted errors, and has developed mechanisms to create opportunities for others. And as always, he has done this work wearing Brooklyn and NYC on his heart. December 4th is definitely a day to offer flowers to Jay-Z. I urge my colleagues to support Resol 849 as well as Intros 1265 and 1269. That is co-primed by council members Riley and Narcisse, which will significantly help improve the mental health and well-being of vulnerable New Yorkers by increasing mental health services through DOH and MACH during critical times and moments when people need it the most. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'll go to Councilmember Brooks Powers, followed by Councilmember Nurse.
Thank you. First, I'd like to take a moment to recognize a group of young students from Queens Prep Academy that I was able to visit this week. And I promised them that I would give them a shout out from the chamber today. But I am so proud today to speak on a bill that's being introduced. JFK Airport is an economic engine for the city, creating and supporting hundreds of thousands of jobs and generating tens of billions in annual sales and wages. But it also places a significant burden on residents in my district, as the airport produces pollution, noise, and truck traffic on nearby residential streets. The JFK Redevelopment Program, an $18 billion investment in JFK's future, is an enormous opportunity to ensure the airport provides long-term economic benefits for New York. It is also a chance to do right by communities nearby. That's why I'm proud to introduce Intro 1251, which would require EDC to generate regular reports on the redevelopment plans at JFK that would be delivered directly to the council for review. These targeted reports would include updates regarding redevelopment progress and highlight any changes made to the scope of the project's work, timeline, or budget. The reports would also require an analysis of the impact of the redevelopment plan on communities around JFK Airport. These reports aim to help the council hold the Port Authority accountable to the language in the existing lease agreement and protect community interests. The Port Authority and JFK's developers have an obligation to the city and its residents who deserve to benefit from the redevelopment. This bill will help both the council and the administration better hold the Port Authority and JFK's developers accountable to our communities. I encourage my colleagues to sign on. Thank you.
Thank you. And now you're from Councilmember Nurs, followed by Councilmember Farias.
Thank you, Majority Leader. I just wanted to express my support for the ALE union and acknowledge them here today. I want to give a special shout out to my staff, who I am extremely grateful for. Carlos, Samori, Vanette, Fran, Dom, Anel, and Ryan. I hope I didn't mess up and miss anyone. I don't think I did, but just want to give my complete gratitude to them. Thank you.
Thank you. And now go to Councilmember Farias, followed by Councilmember Barron.
Thank you again, Majority Leader. I just wanted to take a quick moment to wish my community an early, happy Bangladeshi Victory Day. The Bangladeshi community here is one of the largest in the Northeast and has brought an incredibly resilient and vibrant culture to the Bronx. I'm proud to not only represent such a unique part of New York City, but also be a product of the culturally rich and family-centered communities we have in Council District 18, so happy Victory Day. Lastly, I'd like to encourage my colleagues to check out some of the pretty dope bills I've introduced today and ask me any questions or concerns you might have in anticipation of our reintroductions next year. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We'll now hear from Councilmember Barron, followed by Councilmember Riley.
Thank you very much, my colleagues. I want to rise to support our staff. You know, it's a shame that the staff is not given the respect and the support that they need. Overtime, higher wages, and security in their positions. I think it's time for us to support our staff. We speak so fondly of them all the time, but when it comes time to supporting their union, we act like we're managers. We are workers just like they are, and they should be highly respected. I also stand with a lot of pain in my heart for the continued genocide of the people of Palestine. We're calling on a ceasefire in Palestine. 17,000 people were killed, and 7,000 of them were children. And while we continue to discuss, the media discusses October 7th as though that's when the war began with Hamas's attack on Israel. No, it started long before that. As a matter of fact, Benjamin Netanyahu, who is the Donald Trump of the Middle East, supported Hamas in 1987 against Fatah because they were manipulating to divide and conquer. Too many babies are dying. I don't support the killing of any babies or innocent non-combatant women or men in theaters of war. But the silence from too many and the lopsided reporting when it comes to the killing of the Palestinians, this is not an Israeli-Hamas war, it's an Israeli-Palestine war. Before the state of Israel in 1917, 80% of that land was for the Palestinians. And through terrorism, they created the state of Israel. So I say, ceasefire now, free Palestine.
We'll now hear from Councilmember Riley, followed by Councilmember Gutierrez.
Thank you, Majority Leader. I'm proud to introduce a piece of legislation, an important one, in partnership with Councilmember Lewis and Councilmember Farias, co-chair of the Women's Caucus. Intro 1269 will require the Department of Health and Mental Hygiene to create and distribute pamphlets designed to provide information about potential mental health effects of experiencing pregnancy loss and the available resources for comprehensive support and recovery. Pregnancy loss is a deeply personal and often silent struggle that impacts countless individuals and families in our communities. Amid the physical and emotional challenges that come with such experiences, the toll on mental health is often overlooked. Individuals dealing with pregnancy and infant loss often confront the shock, pain, and trauma of their loss without awareness of the network of professionals ready to assist them. It is crucial that we take meaningful measures to ensure that those contending with pregnancy loss can access the necessary mental health resources. Intro 1269 calls on DOHMH to guarantee that these pamphlets are not only accessible to facilities operated or contracted by the department, but is also ensure widespread distribution to all reproductive health care providers citywide. Additional, this information will be published online in the 14 designated citywide languages with regular updates, helping to close the information gap and serve all New Yorkers. This legislation is a crucial step in safeguarding the reproductive rights by recognizing the mental health factors of pregnancy loss and ensuring accessible and accurate information. It aims to foster a more inclusive and empowering healthcare environment. I urge my colleagues to join myself, Councilmember Lewis and Farias, to positively impact the experiences of women, families, and individuals and healthcare providers dealing with pregnancy or infant loss. Thank you.
Thank you. Now from Councilmember Gutierrez, followed by Councilmember Aviles.
Thank you. I want to take a second to thank my incredible, hardworking staff for an incredible first term, your support to me, your expertise, your time for the district. Bushwick, Williamsburg, and Bridgewood is deeply, deeply appreciated. And I'm also very proud to stand with them and support their efforts for a fair contract. And I just want to uplift their multiple actions as stated. And I just want to personally thank Dionivel, Joseph, Alex, Angelica, Juan, Ana, Anya, and our fellow Victoria. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Now from Councilmember Aviles, followed by Councilmember Hanif.
I too would also like to express my solidarity with our staff union, ALE, and their fight for a fair contract, and acknowledge all the workers who were here today, and maybe some remain in the balcony. But I'd also like to comment, between October and November, the conflict in Gaza has claimed at least 14,000 Palestinians and 1,400 Israelis. The siege of Gaza continues to bring untold suffering to millions, with an entire population of people unable to access housing, health services, and meet their basic needs. How does continuing a cycle of indiscriminate violence, mass bombings, and forced removals credibly contribute to national security and lasting peace? Violence is never a solution, and as is evidenced by this decades-old conflict, and I condemn the use of my taxpayer dollars being used to perpetuate this cycle of violence that will have lasting repercussions across our globe. We must create the safe space for meaningful dialogue, which is why I demand a return of all hostages and a permanent ceasefire. Thank you.
Now hear from Councilmember Hanif, followed by Councilmember Sanchez.
Thank you so much. Today, I'm proud to join 8 of my colleagues in supporting a permanent ceasefire in Gaza, release of all hostages, and an end to the ongoing war. We have mourned the lives of far too many Palestinians and Israelis and uplift the call for a lasting peace. I also want to thank my entire team, Nora Brickner, Alex Liao, Michael Whitesides, Mia Perez, Hannah Henderson-Charnow, Moose Lamia, Matt Malloy, and Ali Boibhub, for all they do for District 39 and New York City. Their dedication, talent, care, and responsiveness to this political moment is remarkable. They make our office run, and they deserve a fair union contract. As a former council staffer, I'm grateful ALE is fighting for just wages and working conditions. Thank you.
Thanks. We'll now hear from Councilmember Sanchez, followed by Councilmember Yeager.
Thank you, Majority Leader. I hope that my colleagues will join in supporting a package of street vendor legislation that several members introduced today. Instead of effectively regulating street vendors across the city of New York, taking an education-first approach, we throw out the goods of street vendors. We cause them harm. We crush their hard work, causing families to fall further behind on rent, struggle with food insecurity, and not be able to integrate into U.S. society. Our current approach is unjust, it is heartbreaking, and as the daughter and granddaughter of vendors, I am proud to join colleagues who want a more realistic framework that brings vendors out of the shadows and into compliance so that all who want to make an honest living vending in our city can finally do so without fear. So please join us in supporting Intro 1270, 1264, 1253, and 1268 for safer goods, cleaner streets, more organized New York City, and a better New York City for all. I also want to join my colleagues in expressing so much gratitude to our staff, my Chief of Staff, Sam Cardenas, my Legislative and Communications Director, Kadeem Robinson, Adrian Cacho, Maria Villalobos, Marileni, Gerard, so many, they've worked so hard, and I wholeheartedly support their fight for a fair union contract. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we'll hear from Councilmember Yeager.
Thank you, Mr. President. Sorry that I'm now at this time of day speaking to a mostly empty chamber, and those who spoke on this topic before have absented themselves herefrom. It's good to see people who care about life and wearing a sweatshirt or a sweater or a t-shirt to express their desire for a ceasefire. If you missed them wearing this sweatshirt saying ceasefire at any time when Hamas was raining daily missiles on Israel, at any time in the 22 months that they served in this council prior to October 7th, I missed it too. If you missed them wearing a t-shirt that said free the hostages, don't rape women, don't cut open the stomach of a live woman and stab the baby to death while the woman is still alive, maybe those are too many words to put on one shirt. So in honor of their opportunity to go to the costume shop and pick up a t-shirt and make their point, standing with terrorists, standing with murderers, standing with people who want to decimate the Jewish people because they want a ceasefire. Everybody wants a ceasefire. The people of Israel wanted a ceasefire from the thousands and thousands of missiles that were raining upon them. Some of the members of this council have seen those towns where they were rained upon. Israel didn't cause that, except by being alive, except by the Jewish people living. That's what brought those missiles on. They didn't have the time or the ability, unfortunately, to get t-shirts that said all those words on it, so they picked 3 words and they put it on a t-shirt, and we've had our performative art for the day. But I think it's important that truth be told, and I'm speaking the truth. The numbers that they're using are not truthful. Everybody knows that the Gaza Health Ministry is Hamas, and those are the numbers that are being used. So I appreciate all the performative art of today, and I appreciate the opportunity to respond. Thank you, Mr. President.
Do we have anyone else signed up to speak? Okay. Thank you. I'll now call on Speaker Adrian Adams to close out today's stated meeting.
Thank you, Majority Leader and colleagues. The stated meeting of December 6, 2023 is hereby adjourned.